welcome back, everybody. Thank you again for giving Dem Boys Watch Footy a listen today. We got our boys Waj and C. How you gents doing today?
Hello.
Very well, man. How you doing
And we
today?
have special guest Crystal Cuevas from Find Her Football, as well as Everyday Women's Soccer. How you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Could you give us and our listeners a little bit of understanding of what Everyday Women's Soccer is?
Yeah, well, everyday women's soccer is a little self-explanatory, but it's a little bit believe it or not. I do a little bit of everything in the women's soccer community. I organize women's pickups. I try to help lead sponsorship dollars going into our community clubs. And I also work with a lot of digital creators to even grow as a business, scale their marketing, and just ultimately bring it back down to the community because that's where soccer is at. Or football, because it's Find Her Football,
Yes,
So,
please.
I use it
Please use the proper
interchangeably.
vernacular.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And Find Her Football is a brand agency that just kind of started in the sense of Champions League happened, Lyon won their seventh title, and I went to Instagram because that was my main channel outside of Twitter. And I'm like, gosh, I'm missing something. And so I was just like, let's make something online and available to follow along.
Crystal, are you in the world of football? Do you play football yourself?
I do. I call myself a social footballer where I love a lot of pickup. Sometimes I like a serious competition, but I'm just really there for the vibes.
Okay.
That's
I
how it
don't
needs
like
sometimes.
injury. I don't like injury. I'm a non-contact
Right.
girly. I will practice very hard to make sure I'm ready. So let me know when I get my call up, guys.
I'm good
Um,
for the tackle.
Are you on offense or defense most of the time?
say that again.
Offense or defense? Which side do you usually play?
My defense game is I live by it. Offensively, I'm a team player.
Okay.
I like to score regardless, any position, any position. So
I
Nah,
mean,
can't you?
when you were
I
playing with TC, did you guys play against each other or
no,
with
we
each
didn't
other?
get to. We didn't get to. I think we would have won definitely. I was representing Zambia.
Yes, actually, yes. We made it to the semifinals unbeaten and then got thrashed by Turkey. Was it Turkey? In the quarterfinals, sorry, yeah.
Just for our listeners, what competition are you talking about?
This was the Consulate Cup, the one that we spoke about last week on the show. A bunch of traditionally held by the NYFC, countries put together, obviously embassies and people from countries, and really just individuals who play football within the city of New York, joining the countries to kind of play together in a tournament, seven-a-side kind of thing. Really fun day. Really, it was really jovial. I think, as Crystal mentioned, part of what I'm starting to see around football, and I think what I'm liking on is the vibes. And that was the main thing that I found with that day specifically was really about getting people together to support the game of football, to be part of it, and really to interact with people within that community. And this is how we ended up in this situation with Crystal today. So,
Yeah, yeah. I feel I have to correct myself. I was representing Liberia.
Hmm.
They were the best and sweetest. I
just
was a little nervous hopping onto the team because everyone was like full fledged, we're ready to win. And you know, I really what I liked about this tournament was that you kind of were able to see all the different sub communities that are within New York City. And I feel like I wouldn't get that necessarily just as obviously in New York, like a New York City pickup or a soccer league. So this was really great. Like I love international football, seeing people represent their countries. It was great. I had a good time. I was able to
yeah,
meet TC there.
yeah, I know. You don't get to meet
Right?
like legends often. I know.
Hey, he's an alright lad to be able to meet for sure.
Yeah, he's not.
So it's always great. It's always great to have someone else who plays the game of football and not just watches it and talks from the armchair. Someone who knows what it's like to slide in there, put their foot in there. So I think what I'm really enjoying about New York is the amount of football pickups and people that
Hmm.
are playing all ages, whether it's like 15 to 45. I'm really finding a whole range and, like you said, diverse amount of people, which I'm really loving. I think for me, as someone who's come from outside of New York into the city, it's been a great way to meet people and meet a wide range of individuals. So that's been really cool.
Yeah, I would have to say the same. Like pickup, that was the first thing that helped me get involved into the New York City soccer scene. And it's also the best way for me to just like connect with other women, girls who, they want to kick the ball, but they don't need a soccer team. They don't need a soccer team. Come play, come kick about, it might rag on you a little bit, have a good time.
Like that.
Yeah, and I do see you have the Gotham FC. They aren't having a great campaign so far in 8th place in the NWSL. Have you been doing any work with their squad over there, or how are you feeling about like NWSL season so far?
Yeah, NWSL right now is on international break, and I think it's amazing because this was the first time we actually acknowledged that we have a buttload of players who play internationally. So let's, cool it, take a break. Let's spectate, let's support, get that viewership up. And as well as our league actually went 2 months longer, which is something, body care, player management. So in terms of Gotham, I'm Esther Gonzalez, my girl, T T T T T T T T T T T T. And so you're watching her right now in Spain. And, I just hope this kind of like strikes a strong nerve of just like soccer inspiration, because I'm inspired playing present day, like whenever I go play pickup, because there's so much football. So whenever the league starts again, let the goals come rolling, playing. A lot of inspiration there, because I don't know, is international football still a dream, an aspiration?
It's interesting you said that, because I think I think leading in, and maybe this is just touching on something I think based on what the WSL and the ladies like Gonzalez are doing at the Euros for one Gotham and for the league itself. She's leading goal scorer. I mean, obviously we'll get into like that Spanish team itself, but just the amount of exposure, the football that they are doing on different platforms are each kind of giving everyone, I think, in the women's game, are raising the profile of the game. The standard of football, the media, the attention of the Euros feeds into the Gotham. It feeds into the players' profiles, what team they plays for, and vice versa. So I think it's really great to see. I'm really excited. I think you've just taken some. I've been watching a lot of this Euros, and I'm sold. I've been sold in this celebration. Like she reminds me of myself. Quick-witted, fast, quick feet, just so smart. Football IQ off the charts. Goodness gracious, she reminds me of someone.
Clean it up. This kind of doggy dog kind of mentality. She doesn't want to wait, taking in much time. Yeah, ferocious. That's a great.
Smaller than everyone, so she has to have like this, and that's what I'm really loving. I think
But she's also so elegant, and she has this craft about her. Like she can put anything on the ball and just kind of make it work.
Absolutely, and I think that's the power of the WSL, right? That we have players of her caliber who are top of their game, playing in our league, in our city, in our team.
Yeah.
And she's heading, and I'm not going to jinx them. They're obviously going into the semi-final, the quarters and semis now. But like she's playing with the best of the best, and so it really like leads into that. And I think part of the discussion we wanted to talk about was the elite of the Euros. As we kind of feed into that, it was the elite of the female Euros, and she's definitely one of those. I am addicted. To me, kind of just watching this, especially like the games that we've seen in the Euros. There've been some really like big scoring games, some beautiful goals. A couple of years ago, people used to maybe have this rag about women's football and the flow nature of it, the consistency of it, the way it was stop-start kind of thing. But watching these games, I can honestly say that I would never be able to like throw my weight behind. I would never be able to step on the pitch with these ladies at all, because they're performing at an absolute professional level where like they're doing calculations of calculus and football things in their head so quickly. Like there's a 19-year-old girl there from Barcelona, Vicky Lopez. Like honestly, she is like the Trinity Rodman of my life. Like I've been, you know what I mean? And it's these little anecdotes that make me want to watch the league, kind of in the way that Caitlin Clark did. So similar in that sense that I'm starting to find, and that's just my feeling at the moment.
Yeah, I think actually, just a random, don't you think it might behoove or just not work in the club league's favor for pausing for international break?
Yeah.
So
you lose a lot of the storylines that are already going on mid-season, especially within the NWSL. But what we've seen that has been happening, even look back at the World Cup when it was taking place in Qatar, when all of the teams went on break in that December, you saw how many changes happened within those leagues. Like once everything resumed, because they were already playing, they went from playing very large tournament football back to club football. Different intensity, different mentality. So it's definitely tough to keep up that same level, but these people get paid the big bucks to be able to do it. So
Yeah,
hopefully once they come back, it changes. But I agree a little bit that it's tough to kind of play mid time.
Listen, people, when you go on holiday at work, we all have regular jobs other than this cool job we have right now. When your team goes away on holiday and you have to pick up the load, what happens? Are you happy? You smile and go, "Yay! Half the team's away. I'll pick up the load." You don't, because you want your full team capacity to be there to perform at its most efficient and best. So, in my opinion, like we do with the other teams, because essentially what you're saying to your team, and no disrespect to any players left behind, is that your team, which is playing for a competition, friendlies are okay, cool, players money friendlies as you want to keep people's fitness. But when you're playing for money or a competition where there's money, value, there's all these things at the end of a competition, and you're losing your best players for a chunk of the month, and then so that you potentially could happen. This is something that they have a big issue in the EPL with the African Union, with the African, because it plays in January at the same time as the EPL. Players like Salah get lost, and they hate that. So it's something that they do for major competitions. And it's great respect to the competition, but more importantly to the players who are playing in that competition. Like you rightly said, Crystal, the teams that lose some of these players, Salah's not being there for the main striker, the leading goal scorer for the WSL is not playing in the competition.
exactly.
It loses its validity a little bit. You kind of go, "Oh, well, hey, you see what happens," and I'm going to use Messi as an example. When Messi doesn't play, how much tickets go down, right? You just see how the validity of certain games, and if you do that for that, you're devaluing both competitions, because you're saying, "Hey, we're going to have them at the same time. We don't care about you." Whereas the viewership, especially when we're fighting for the same viewership, needs to be focused on supporting the platform. Your best players are here now. Unfortunately, there's a whole bunch of other players who aren't part of the Euros, and that sucks. But we saw that with the other Euros. You had what do you call? We had the Kasafa. We had all these other cups going on at the same time. So those are where we need to look at to ensure that we're keeping the focus on those and not trying to split it. Next minute you have, I don't know,
Let's not
Germany.
forget, TC. Let's not
Yeah,
forget, right now at the same time, there's also the women's AFKON is going on at the same time as the Euros. You've got a team like Zambia, who's full of WSL players. They're all playing internationally right now. So it's just literally, it's a vacuum of
yeah,
talent. Right? And like you said,
yeah.
that's being split between the league, and then you've got two international competitions all at the same time, and we're all vying for the same viewership. And Club World Cup just finished, so there's also vying for that too. It's just it's too much at the same time, and the players need to have a proper break. You can't just let them come back after playing. Like Eric said, coming back from international and going back in the club with a different type of intensity and responsibilities. And now you're also playing with your different squad. One, yes, you do play with them for the majority of your career in terms of your season, but it's still a different squad. And now you've got to reintegrate yourself back into the team that's been missing you, especially the star players who've now been replaced for what could be a month, And now it's too many. It creates too many issues, and that's the problem with international football right now. And all the other competitions we're giving ourselves on top of the regular season. What is the answer to that? Because we've got
Well,
too much football.
well, there's no such thing as too much football, right? Okay, so but on the community front, it's just a lot. You can only go to one event at a time, one watch party at a time. How about transportation going from like Queens to Manhattan just for Club World Cup? And then what if NWSL was still happening, right?
Yeah,
Or if I
Jersey.
have to go to Jersey. I mean, Jersey, everything's in Jersey these days. So, but I think on the community front, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of resources that's not there to promote football.
Yeah.
And so that's just like, hey, let's just focus on like Gotham, for example. They did a watch party for Esther Gonzalez, as they should, right? So now they can just like focus on the top goal scorer that's representing her country, outperforming everyone in the Euros. Then she's gonna come home. She's gonna do the same thing. We're gonna win the league. Let's go, Esther. TT.
So, question, Crystal, just based off that, I know you said Gotham did a watch party. Fuck it, we're doing the Euros, so maybe and it's been the Club World Cup. I was going to ask, are places in New York doing enough to support kind of like their players or just the Euros essentially, like we do for the other, like we do for the men's game, like where bars and stuff go take over and shit like that, like legends and football bars. Are they doing enough in that sense for that?
Well, I think if they were doing enough, I don't think I would have a job, honestly.
That's the honest answer.
Yeah, yeah. And the thing is, whenever I started like watching soccer, football out in public, it was a matter of like negotiating with the bartender, like, hey, can you put at least 2 TVs? Like let's try to make it a little bit normal out here. Or how about can we do like some drink specials? Can we bring in people? And it's just there's different fronts of adversity there, but first let's just carry the channel.
Yeah.
Let's just carry the channel. And then, hey, can you market it? Can you help us market it? But there's so much room to grow, so much room to have fun, and it's only getting better. And no, to answer you, we don't do nearly enough for international breaks or the NWSL in terms of like watch party, that camaraderie, that supporter group. I want a drum going from New York to New Jersey. Like I want a whole symphony with me, budget. Community, that's community budget, right? So
yeah.
Where do you go to watch games when you just want to go with your community? What's your favorite spots?
Right now, I go to a Hawaiian Mexican fusion place. It's called
What?
Tiki Poke Bar. Healthy,
Okay.
Hawaiian, good drinks. If you don't have good drinks, good non-alcoholic juices. And, I appreciate anywhere that can make me feel like home and not weird asking for a football match on their TV. Like, and at least try to carry it, right? Just have a Roku, have an Amazon stick.
Yeah.
We are so much more accessible than 2020 when I started this whole thing. So now it's like prime time. Let's have fun. Let's get together. Let's get to know our soccer lovers that also love men's football, right? Now, can we watch football? And there's so much football. I'm sorry you have to choose Esther Gonzalez versus, PSG falling out. I don't know. That's not my problem.
No, it's been interesting because I would say my first CONCACAF women's championship matches I watched at Fancy Free. I had no idea those matches were going on, and I saw Chivas USA women's versus NWS versus Gotham FC, and I was like, "Wait, this is going on at the same time." And it was in the middle of the basketball season. I was like, and there were 2 TVs just on with it, and then the others were the Knicks game, and I was like, oh, "Okay, this is 2025. This is what I'm loving right now." So,
right.
Really
new competitions.
Yeah, really enjoying where that's really popping up from.
Yeah, there's a lot of new competitions to actually cross these different leagues. You know how we have Champions League?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now we need a CONCACAF version. And so that's what CONCACAF is doing between the Canada Pro Women's League, the US Pro Women's League, and the Mexico. And then we also have a little bit of South America, our Caribbean countries. Like, come on. They just don't have the infrastructure for the league. So soon we'll have a great league, kind of Champions League-esque competition.
That's where FIFA can step in as well. I think, this is where all this money that gets spent, it needs to go towards unions and places like that where there's a need for money to be given so that the game can grow, so that there can be leagues, so that there can be a growth. And it may not be profit generating at the moment, but this is where you start to look at like how is the allocation of money towards things that FIFA gets, the places, leagues, and what is it for? Maybe there needs to be a discussion about the development of leagues, like you said, for that. Yes, it's on WSL and all these come together, but there has to be support from the overall structure to ensure that there is, that there is consistency, this process, that people are all getting the right, we don't want to see what we saw in African Union where some people are getting kept at the airport for like 24 hours and treated like dogs. And you want everyone to have, proper training for all that kind of stuff, and able to have access to that to grow the game in those areas. And that's how you grow the game. When FIFA's playing like people, 400 million on Club World Cup here, I'm like, that's awesome. I'm assuming that's because you got a billion in the bank. So another 400 million that way. You know what I mean? I get it. We're in that kind of cycle of New Year, America, blah, blah. But, when you see that amount of money being thrown at certain things and competitions, you start to think about that there must be money for growth for all these other things, I know that kind of leads us, Eric, I know that leads us into kind of the other stuff we wanted to chat to today. Just in terms of this Club World Cup stuff that we've just, the finals that we've just had, recently, and just before the show, we were kind of talking about it. What we saw from just this, what I think in a whole from everyone. I'd love to know in like 3 short sentences from pretty much everyone here is what did you think of it as a whole, as an experience and as a competition, like with this new expanded format? And then, do you think like was it was it a fail or was it a fail? Was it a win? I'll start with you. Wash, good.
I mean, look, this is all a precursor to the World Cup, right? To check out the fandom and the stadiums and everything. I think it was a great opportunity to see teams that a lot of us would not get to see. First off, just because we live here and they're obviously around the world, and also see teams play each other. But I wasn't a fan from the get go. I felt this way that this was just it's an unnecessary competition that FIFA's putting on. The players are all gassed. And I just felt like they needed their break. And yeah, I know what you guys need to say because you always want to be like that. Just make them work. They're workhorses. Make them work. I felt like it was. I mean, it was for FIFA's hype. They did their job well, right? But it was just it's their version of a Super League. It's an international Super League that they have marketed in the States, which right now wasn't really the right market to have it on. If this whole Super Club World Cup was in Europe, I think, for example, whether it's in Germany or England or wherever else, I think it would have been crazy. But because it was here, it didn't have the right amount of fandom to it. There were a lot of issues, of course, in certain stadiums with games. It was almost Super Bowl-ish on Sunday with all the performances, to the point that even the second half started late. So, and of course, Mr. 45 deciding that he wanted to jump onto the stage to do the trophy with the players. So, really, I got a lot of issues there. But did they make their money? Yeah, they did.
Okay.
Yeah, but don't you think that I guess my thought is that whenever you said they should have had it in Europe, I just think that yes, all the Mexicans and Brazilians would have definitely traveled to Europe because they're just that much of a diehard fan. Would they still have struggles like selling tickets? Yes, because still maybe not enough people follow those 2 leagues. Same with the Saudi league. I mean, I just know the team that Cristiano plays for, and if maybe were they in there? I don't know. I just heard a lot more. I heard more talk about him possibly coming to Real Madrid, if you will.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, they had a chance for him to kind of float around to any squad, and he said after they won the Nations League, he was just like, "Yeah, I'll just take a rest." But FIFA were trying to use as many marketing tools as possible to get people
Yeah.
to come and watch, and that's where you saw like the gimmickiness, where you're just like, "Oh, this is terrible." But I want you to continue your point because I think you were about to hit on something I was about to say.
Yeah, I think they were just really testing like the fan culture, but no matter what, you're testing Club World Cup versus international football.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
if anything, this is like a pitch side kind of let's test the quality of the pitch. Let's see how happy players can be being like I think tourism, hospitality, right? Is America now could be a home for soccer? We
Right.
don't know. We
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly.
Right. That's a big head scratch, right?
Right. All of those components of it just make it a massive head scratch. Like, will this succeed next year? I think it will because, of course, it's the World Cup. To your point, this was clubs versus international, and a lot of people. I mean, they're really coming to just watch a few teams. And obviously, there were some matches that were full of fans, and I love to see the footage. I mean, just seeing the fandom was what we live for, right? And seeing the communities come out and seeing people mix together from all around the world, that was fantastic. But it still wasn't the numbers that they wanted to hit. But to your point, it was also testing out the stadiums, testing out the infrastructure, tourism, all of that. We used to do this with the Confederations Cup that we would do 2 years before the World Cup, and now it's the Club World Cup, doing it 1 year before. It is, again, I think it's a great financial idea by FIFA to get the fans in a year before and to test out infrastructure. But yeah, it didn't give me the warm fuzzies. I'm more than happy.
Nobody
I'm
cares
glad to go
about
watch.
your warm fuzzies, man.
Everybody was here.
This was an
That's a
amazing
fun
tournament,
conversation.
man.
I'm
This was an
more happy to
amazing
go watch
tournament.
the women's AFKON and happy to go watch the Euros than I am to go watch PSG get broken to pieces by Chelsea. Like,
I think that's a
whatever.
personal problem right there because Me actually going to the matches, actually meeting fans from around the world. Like, I love Palmeiras. I want to go to Sao Paulo now because of the people that I got to meet and got
But
to
I
meet.
said that part is the important part. I
No,
said that part.
that's what I have to emphasize, and that's why I feel as though your point to me is mute because uh, the thing that always used to happen before the World Cup the year before was the Confederates Cup. That was always the litmus test to help figure out the infrastructure here. Now they've replaced it with the Club World Cup because FIFA was like, oh, we need to get more involved with the clubs. That's actually what is the money driver now because people care more about year-round football, the storylines from there, and let's cash in. And they're only doing it once every 4 years. Yeah, we can see it as FIFA, the big bag coming in, trying to take more money out of whatever culture that they're going into. They kind of met their match in the U.S. I think this was amazing, on the litmus test, because now we know, please have the start times at 8 p.m., not 3 p.m. during school days, or the hottest times of the year, or you're going to have all these, like, I remember having to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch the World Cup when it was over in Japan, and I was like, okay, this is terrible. So how come someone else over in Europe doesn't have to stay up late to watch, you know?
Because what happened to the person in Japan who has to watch it?
The Red Dragon literally, they brought their own people over. Like, they had a really good.
It's majority. It's a majority of the world is the times at 8 o'clock of the rest of the world, other than Australia, at 8 a.m. Them. Everyone else is fucking asleep. Like,
Exactly. So we can move the time.
the people who call it soccer. Okay? So
And you can move the times to make it accessible for the people that are here to actually go to the games. Like,
Yeah, most
Too
definitely.
much money on security.
I really don't care. Like, going to the match at MetLife, I saw the security and no, it's just not going to work. The way, how long it's going to take to get actual internationals through, it's going to take way too long.
And now we're talking about national fans next year too. When this
Yeah.
pops off next year,
Colombia, Argentina.
Oh, yeah.
but yeah, like we saw last year, and that was just the CONCACAF last year when the world descends upon America, and they're trying to get through, and we have our crazy ass fans, which we will have from around the world. We're 5 of them, or 4 of them, sorry. It's going to be a shit show. I can't wait to see it.
like, I think that's just part and parcel of like major events and security.
There's nothing like the World Cup. There's nothing like the World Cup. It doesn't
You
exist.
must also remember, like, weeks before, Beyonce's concert was at MetLife, and they had a little bit of an easier time with security with just that than the actual matches that were taking place at MetLife. So it can be done. Just
Yeah. That's valid. That's valid.
You know?
But people talking about Beyonce concert versus fucking two teams that are competing against each other.
Have you seen the Beehive? Have you?
No. Have you been to a Boca Juniors River Plate, Kaiser Chiefs Pirates? People die. People die.
It's like, yeah, we're talking Taylor Swift versus Beyonce concert
And
at MetLife.
I'll wait for you to answer that question.
You can
You're crazy.
keep waiting until you make your point. Are you going to make your point? Okay, then.
So what I'm saying is, I hear you. You're right. I think there are learning curves in terms of the streamline process. But number one, we're in America. America's always going to have increased security. It's just what it is. It is part and parcel. It's going to be increased security, especially at bigger events, especially when shit is happening politically and socially around our country and what we're doing in other places. We're going to have, there's going to be some sort of, also, don't forget, there's also going to be an opportunity for political outcries of these things. So therefore, especially like the final yesterday, they probably were so scrutinizing because Trump was there. No flags, no Palestine, no. All of that shit would have come into play even more so because of that. And even more so next year when you have fucking all the dignitaries who try and attend these things for clout, right? So when you attend, especially World Cups, I remember going to the one in South Africa. Ordinary games, they have metal detectors, right? They have the usual stuff. But at the World Cup games, you want to protect your visitors and all the other people. So you have to increase security. You have to create these atmospheres where unfortunately, it's shitty and hard to get in. So maybe you got to go 3 hours earlier, go and pay like 12, and that's what they drive to do, unfortunately, but it's part and parcel of the event. Would you have less security to make it easier for you to get in easier? Is that what you want? No.
Didn't say that. I'm talking more so just a more streamlined process because you didn't actually go to the stadium. You wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
How early did you go? How early
Yeah.
did you go, Eric?
We got there about 45 minutes early, and it took us actually all the way up until 3 to get into the stadium. And mind you, this was a day everybody was off. It was Brazil versus an Egyptian squad, Palmeiras versus Al Ali, and that stadium was pretty packed for what that match was, and just the entire line situation, having to have their people educated at the lines of which people need to take out what, just getting a little bit better, and that's going to come with time. This was the practice that they needed, but I'm still saying like
You want like an airport service, right? Like where you already submit all your things and then you just go straight through.
Nah, that's a little bit too much, especially for FIFA to own my life right there.
I mean, it's a good service. It's a good service. I might pay for it. They do it at amusement
entry
parks.
and clear, yes,
No,
please.
true.
I'll sign up.
Hey,
I'll sign
I
up.
will sign up for that right away. I'll be the first person in line. I'll be like, gimme.
I'll save my pesos.
Okay, so rounding up, Eric, what you're saying is that the experience overall was great. It was a great experience.
I think the tournament. Yes, yeah, I think the tournament overall was a success in the U.S. You had your patches where there were some really big issues. All of the inclement weather that's going on, we're definitely going to have to figure out how to get these matches played at better times next year. These water breaks are kind of messing up, even though they're needed because we're playing it in the summer months. I don't know why in the U.S. we didn't just make it a continuation of a winter World Cup, just because here, November, December, it would have been perfect time for people to come.
Yeah. So hold on.
I gotta plan my holiday around that. You know, like I'm not seeing certain family. Nobody's getting certain gifts then.
Exactly.
No gift for you.
Hey, but that's my take on it. There, that's what I'm going to die on.
Fair. That's a fair take. Crystal, anything from you on it?
I think it was just a great first time. That's it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I didn't expect too much at all from the tournament other than for myself, how much was I going to see it here in New York? And I saw PIF, Saudi's Public Investment Fund, everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere. Just with my own work and sponsorship, like I see why Dazan was everywhere. I see how fat that prize money was, like $1 billion. And then Chelsea ends up getting like a 25 million payout. Like,
no, they got
that's nice. Or 100. See, look. But I think that whole relationship and just how FIFA did the do was super interesting to me. So I was just along for the ride.
I mean,
nothing more,
I think
nothing less.
the Saudi money was also included because the Gold Cup was going concurrently. And somehow Saudi Arabia was in it. And that one kind of threw me for a loop. I was like, wait, why are Saudi playing against the U.S., Mexico? Like, Saudi versus Honduras. This doesn't make sense. But
well, in all fairness, with the Gold Cup, every Gold Cup they are allowed to invite in one guest team. So that's
Saudi paid their way in. And they were like, let's nuzzle up everywhere.
Quite an exaggerated assumption there.
They also guaranteed broadcasting distribution and sponsorship dollars. So like they're really lifting as well as lifting CONCACAF.
Look, I think good for football in that sense. Again, it just goes to allocation of the money. In my opinion, is where that money goes to, and there's money in football. It's the allocation of it. So it just goes to prove that there isn't a shortage of dollars. It's just where those dollars go. And for me, that's all I'm happy to go. Is like, oh, okay, there's cash. Good to know. Yeah. When I come asking for this, there shouldn't be any problem saying if I need this for A, B, and C for valid reasons, because there's money and that's fine. Let's spend it. We got money. Let's spend. Spend. Sorry, I'm getting too close.
If we're gonna do a Christmas World Cup, then we will definitely ask Father Christmas Infantino for a nice Christmas present for all of us, please.
Yeah.
Cash. We take cash, and I take Venmo.
And just on that, grateful for that. And I think and Eric and Crystal, you guys touched on it, is bringing in of sponsors into things like this add to the experience. Obviously, I went to one of the sponsors, the Michelob Ultra kind of experience. They're going to be one of the sponsors. When we were talking about fan experiences last week about the cities and the fan zones, and we were talking about what they're doing for Gotham, are they doing enough? Starting to see where there's opportunity, where there's a gap, where there's things that they might start doing. I know that they're going to do a lot more of these things as we get towards that. And then you're talking about this PIF, the Saudi Arabia Investment Fund, who people say are whitewashing sport with their money, but really what are they doing? They are going on an aggressive brand and marketing strategy with an endless supply of money. The question can go in, is it good or bad for sport? What it does do is obviously it conflates like prices because they've just got money to throw around and doesn't matter what price. But what it is doing is giving like a lot of exposure to places, and where we're talking about where places are tightening up belts. People with oil seem to be throwing that shit out. No wonder we're going back to coal and fossil fuels in America. So I think what it is really just like this, this discussion around PIF. I was thinking about it in my head today, and I was like, when they started putting money into fighting, into tennis, into golf, into everything, what are they doing? They're pushing around the established order, which we know needs to be fucked with anyway. Fuck FIFA sometimes. They're bringing additional eyeballs, and they're giving money to places that allows it to play a bit more without the rigidity and bureaucracy that we find FIFA does like to play with the big sponsors. And in my opinion, what it does is it's great for the game. It does. Like, honestly, I love to see Saudi Arabia. I love to see the money being put into the game. I like to see the differences. We've had for so long, peeps, we've had an established order. For so long, it's been the same. Look at the way the World Cups, let's get into discussion about the way the World Cups are freaking distributed. Who's hosting the next one? Because that'll take us to another. But look at the way that the World Cups are distributed. We know the amount of just controversy around that. I don't want to say anything else around that specifically, but controversy. So this kind of pushes that narrative. It's to change it, New players in the game. Here to change it and push the world order, I guess, of sport, of football, which is needed in my opinion. Which is what I love about the PIF. Sorry.
Yeah, I appreciate them. It's a little conflicting sometimes, especially hearing just like even Barcelona being like forced to play over there and their own just not valuing girls and women playing sport, and that's like a strong change agenda over here. And so it's like, okay, let me see your intention. You're right. Let me see your intention. Now fund the Women's Club World Cup, please.
Yeah, just had a fraction of that money that they're dishing out, and if they could put that towards grassroots programs and into the women's game, then I think they'd have a lot more public backing behind them. For right now, I mean, whether it's strategic or they're just throwing money to change the world order, as you said, TC, clearly they're movers and shakers, but what are they going to do with that money? Are they going to use it for good, or will they just take over and just try to move the league and move players over to Saudi, and of course just influence and also just influence the game from with their money in the bank accounts with the PIF. So again, I think they can do a lot of good if they play the game.
Sure. Well, let's hope and pray that the Saudis don't back out on their words. What they're really trying to do. They're really dominating within the space, like sports in general. So it's just something to continue to watch here. But let's move on to one of our final topics, which we were talking about earlier. I see you throwing up the T. We got Las Espanolas. Right now, the Euros are still going on, and it has been complete domination within Group B from Spain so far. We have Norway, who's also won all of their matches. Sweden and France have won all of their matches. So, people, would love to hear, what do you think the semifinals and finals are going to look like in the Euros so far? Crystal, I'll let you lead the charge there.
Yeah, for me, I think Spain could take it all the way. So in the semifinals, I would say just Spain all the way. That's all I got. And I think what's going to be interesting though in the quarterfinals, just seeing how England and France try to advance, because I could see them being in the final against Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that's going to be a whole nother mind game with them seeing each other again. France already beat England. England's won Euros, the last 2022 Euros. Germany's actually one of my biggest disappointments, unfortunately, just because I feel like the federation just doesn't take them seriously enough. And even the league, I wish they were just a lot more recognized and celebrated and showcased, because they won Euros in the first 6-7 years. I think they have 8 Euros titles. And so I just want more. They were my first favorites before Spain, before getting to know England. So yeah, Spain all the way for me.
some interesting points there. I think the quarterfinal, which is going to be very interesting for me, is definitely going to be Sweden England. It's going to be great to watch. Sweden's got really really great, fast, technical players, some skillful players. I'm definitely looking. That one should be a semi-final, which is semi-final. So I'm really going for England. I think it's going to be England versus Italy in the one semi-final, versus Germany versus Spain in the other semi-final. I'm with Crystal. I've just been following the Spanish team, which is pretty much like led by a lot of key linchpins from the Barcelona team, with splatterings of, which is just like this 2009 Messi team, 2014, 2015 Messi team with like Iniesta, Xavi, like freaking kids, remakes and females who are just banging goals left, right, and center. Left, right. They make, Crystal, we once had a race in swimming here, and my friend here, Eric, lost. It's pretty much like what happens with Barcelona and Spain every time they stand in the field. It's like me swimming against Eric, because
You have to bring that back up.
every time. Because what I've seen so far is, like I said, it's been great in that sense. So I'm with you. I'm with Spain.
Well, this could be almost like how, how everyone on Spain plays for Barcelona. And then for England, for the most part, a lot of them come from Arsenal. Arsenal, few Man City, few Man United.
What
And
about
so I say that because they could just already be like in really good spirits, form after winning Champions League. It's like, let's go, let me get all my cookies there. Versus Spain, it's just like they're following up from the World Cup. I think that's still a lot to prove there. However, I think it will come down to defense at the end of the day, and just Barcelona squeezing England like they squeeze everyone else. Don't let them get comfortable. And I think they would still do the same if that was France. They just play a whole different style, and it's high pressure. Let me attack right away. It's mini Barcelona.
But what I've seen with that is that, like the English league, I think the English league is slightly more robust and tougher. And the league, like the men, is also a bit more technical. So what I see with the Spanish team is very similar to like Barca, because obviously they're all players, that they all come through with this technical, skillful, which is why I think in terms of defense, like Spain has, I think, a better attack, but in terms of a more consolidated unit of defense, and especially bigger players, I was looking at that English team going, wow, there's some, So you're right. It's going to be the battle of attack versus defense. Watching Spain, they've been knocking goals in left, and I mean, this is pretty much like being in Eric's backyard all day. Goals going in all everywhere. It's just bang,
Averaging 4 goals a game.
I mean, it's literally like being.
So sorry, England and Spain both have 3 goals against them, right? I mean, Spain has the higher goal difference, and they've got 14 goals versus England's 11. So if it goes, I mean, even if it goes to France or England versus Spain, it's going to be.
Yeah. What I like. Go ahead.
No, which one would you like more? Spain?
No, what I liked is seeing how, like, there was this shift in the Belgium game where they won 6-2, right? Belgium had some major confidence, the first to actually make Spain concede, and then Spain was like, wait, what? Who are we? And they just, when it rains, it pours, and you feel it a lot with Spain. And like, I think they're also entertaining. I'm biased. They're entertaining. I love their attack. I think defensively, that's where they'll have to like really figure it out. Just because Spain or England, if they do advance to the final, they have a lot of options. They have a lot of options that can score as well.
Facts.
I wanted to let Waj round it out, and then we move on to our last.
Oh no, I was just gonna say. I mean, for me, I think Spain's going to make it to the final. So the question is really, who are they going to be playing against? France is dangerous. I mean, their last match was absolutely ridiculous. They've got the flair and the physicality, and they've got a really just fantastic team of, I think, players who've underachieved, and this is their moment to really show off. The Lionesses. Again, I'm biased because I'm an Arsenal supporter, and I just saw what some of them did when they won the Champions League 2 months ago. So I hope it's Spain versus England.
Right.
Yeah. If it is, then I'm hoping for a great game, but Lionesses to win.
I was gonna switch it up to go to the women's AFKON, just because we should give all of the sport kind of a little bit of some splendidness right here. And I know Waj has been keeping pretty close with it. with Nigeria, Morocco, Algeria, South Africa, Senegal, Mali.
Botswana.
Yeah, Ghana, Botswana was in it. They ended up third in their group, but wanted to see if anybody had any predictions here. I used to work with Aziza from Nigeria, so I'm really pushing forward. Hopefully that Nigeria moves forward in this tournament. They were really good in the Olympics when they were pushing forward. It was a really tough showing because of the matches that they had, but glad that they were able to do something there. But I'm looking for Nigeria, South Africa right now.
I mean, I'm putting my money on Zambia at this point. They've, like I said before, they've got a pretty stacked team with WSL players, and Nigeria costed their last match with the 0-0 draw. So yeah, I'm putting my money on Algeria to do this. Sorry, on Zambia.
Yeah, I was gonna say Banda's. She's killing it.
Yeah, Banda's
Yeah.
leading it, and they're such a scary squad. So I was very sad. I will say it was very sad to see Botswana lose out, but it was a fantastic volley at the 95th minute to beat Tunisia 2-1. And that was just a fantastic match. So shout out to the Mares who almost made it. Better luck next time.
For sure. Crystal, do you have anything?
Oh, but I will say, just last thing, I will just want to say about the kits that I've been comparing the kits of AFKON versus the Euros. And just based off what I've seen, because there's obviously more stuff for the Euros, the AFKON kits, as always, are better.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Yeah.
Crystal, any predictions in the women's AFCON and your favorite kit?
Yeah, I'll start with the kit. I do think Euros is super subtle, like they're just wanting to blend in with something, don't know what. And I've peeped at some of AFCON's kits as well, some of the teams, and they're just a reflection of the countries. You know, like I feel like they have a different kind of like flair and touch, brighter, less subtle. And then for me, unfortunately, I wish I followed more the African Cup of Nations, but I did follow them a lot before this competition. And Zambia, just off the jump, I would say can beat Nigeria. Nigeria is another federation where it's like you've been in the limelight for so long. Where's the change? You know, and they've dominated for so long. They have great like key players, but I'm just really happy for Zambia. Like in terms of where their players are going to go play in the Spanish League and NWSL. They're great. South Africa versus Senegal. I would say that's going to be a very close game. That's going to be a very close game. And I think South Africa could pull through. Morocco versus Mali. Morocco, they've been
Morocco's
brewing. Yeah. Algeria versus Ghana. I'm actually really surprised with Ghana. So I'm going to say Algeria. Don't really have a reason there, just because they're the underdogs there.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, but I'm definitely going to follow along for the quarterfinals and the semifinals and the finals. So it's going to be good.
It's gonna be a good Friday.
Yeah, and Banyana and South Africa are cold. The ladies are cold. I'm going to back them. I love a couple of their players there, so backing them all the way. Just in terms of the kits, I think one interesting fact is I'm not looking more. The designs are cool with it, but I'm looking at the difference between the Nike and the Adidas. Obviously, those are the two that I'm kind of looking at, and across the board. And I saw something interesting that obviously I think Adidas has a few more teams that are like sponsored, especially the bigger ones. However, out of all the teams that have won the cups or have been in the finals, have you noticed that they've all been wearing Nike?
And I must say,
I didn't know that. That's a good point.
Won the
For the
leagues.
Euros, the Nike's ahead.
Like, so it seems that like the Nike kits are less worn, but those are the ones that have won the Spanish league, the English league.
Yeah, I was like, how far are you gonna go?
I'm really enjoying my Puma, so I will always rock a pair of Sambas when I can.
You can
Puma's
it's
always been my favorite type of kit, as well as a footy shoe. So,
is that
Man.
I want to thank everybody for giving us a listen today to Dumb Boys West Footy. Crystal, how can the people find you?
Yeah, you can follow us at Find Her Football on Instagram, TikTok, add a 1-3 behind the Find Her Football on TikTok. And yeah, plug in. Everyday Women's Soccer is also available on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and we hope to have you guys as well. Talk about more women's footy and just appreciate the time.
Very much appreciative to have you on. It's Dem Boys with Waj and TCNE. Thank you all.
To the next one.